Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lowcountry Lowdown. Today I am here with the beloved Miss Jessie Burdick. Is it Burdick, right?
Burdick.
Burdick. Okay, almost had it, guys. Look, we'll go ahead and write it down in the description so you ain't got to remember it. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us. Jessie is the owner of Colleton Coffee right here in Walterboro on Main Street. This establishment's been here about 3.5 years. I have been here many, many times myself. Great coffee. And she has been kind enough to let us actually record in her establishment as well. So thank you very much for taking the time, Jessie. I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we love to, our favorite guests are small business owners, you know. It's not like the CEO of Walmart was going to respond to my emails anyway, but frankly, I'd much rather have you here. So I appreciate you taking the time. We'll just start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about what got this whole thing started. I know you had mentioned that you had previously, or maybe currently still had another business on Main Street as well was it your sister? Or?
Exactly, yes.
Gotcha. So we'll start there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. My sister and I got started at our boutique across the street. It's Twig. And 8 years ago now, we opened that and we're just going along and we wanted to do something more. We'd been in business, I guess, 4 years, had to do the math. And so we were trying to think of how to grow, and we'd run out of room in the shop, so it wasn't like we could really, expand inventory-wise. So we ended up looking for new locations and brainstorming what kind of other shop we'd want to do. Mm-hmm. And then one day we were just talking, and I said, I think what Walterboro needs is a coffee shop, and it goes better with coffee than books. So,
yeah. Well, absolutely, and I can tell you right now, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and you wake up every morning, and what do? You work 1 million hours a week, and you're tired, and I bet, hey, what we should do is open a coffee shop.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense, and I love the style you've gone for here. You didn't try to. It doesn't look like you've really tried to replicate like this, black and white commercial, anything. You've made this very homey. It's very personalized. It feels very Walterboro. Can you walk me through a little bit of the inspiration around, how you decided to do this? You've got, it looks like some local artists here and, there's books and this, that, and the other. Was that initially part of the vision when you started it up, or did that just kind of all come in time?
It kind of came along. The building had been renovated. It used to be an event venue. The man who renovated it has amazing taste. And when he was done doing that, it looked like a coffee shop. And so I thank him frequently for renovating it into a coffee shop for me. But we just wanted it to be somewhere inviting and relaxing and peaceful. Mm-hmm. So, and we thought about the books. And then along the line, we've just added more things to it. We've had local artists have their art here, and then he absolutely outgrew us because he got too big and busy. And so now we've switched gears and we do some other local artists and authors and such.
Yeah, and that's something about Walterboro is it feels aside from the chains that pop up every now and again, every local business I see seems very involved with one another. It doesn't seem like too many people are kind of standing out by an island. It really feels like you have a sense of community with all the local entrepreneurs here in this Main Street area. It feels very cohesive in a way,
Yes, sir.
You've been here, you said 20 years, is that right? Mm-hmm. Tell me about moving to Walterboro and, kind of acclimating yourself with the town. Did you fall in love immediately, or was this more of an acquired taste for you, or how'd that go? You come from Tennessee originally, right?
Yes, sir. I was in Tennessee for a while, then we moved to Florida, then we came to South Carolina. So to begin with, I worked from home a lot, and I came downtown, but I never really necessarily got to know people really well. I came downtown to run a few errands and such, but a couple, 9 years ago, I started working downtown. And once I started working downtown, I really got to know the community, the people. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really feel like it became more real to me. It became more personal for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that I love so much about Walterboro. And I mean, I live in Somerville. I've got family from Walterboro. I love Somerville. It's got a very special place in my heart. But, the thing about Somerville is sometimes it feels like, you can get not quite cliquey, but, you can be within your own little space. And here it feels like everybody knows one another. I was out here doing a First Thursday event. This was a few months back. And, I went and everything, people would come up to me and they would say, oh, okay, where are you from? I don't know you. Because the expectation is that they would,
Right,
and I have to explain that, oh, well, my connection to Walterboro, I've done plenty of business out here, but, my hometown connection is through my wife and whatnot. And, I kind of like that expectation of like, well, shouldn't I know you? Because everyone knows everyone, right?
Right,
And it's not, it's a small town, but it's not a tiny town. It's not like there's 5 people that live here. It's a big enough place, and compared to your Hamptons and your Vances and whatnot, it's actually big city in a lot of ways. Ruffin would consider this a metropolis. So
Yeah.
So it's got a lot going on for it. You're not bored here unless you try. But
Exactly.
there's always something to do. Going into entrepreneurship is a pretty bold task. And to bet on yourself in that way, especially in something as competitive as, the food and bev industry and how difficult of an entry that can be, what made you have the faith to take that leap and really bet on yourself? I know you've had some success before with your sister in the boutique there, but, tell me a little bit about what gave you that courage.
I guess part of it would be my dad owned businesses when I was growing up, and I got to work with him a small amount. And then my sister and I did the boutique, of course, and then my sister and I actually did the coffee shop together too. And so the boldness to do it, I guess a lot of it is truly just stepping into where God is calling you. And so I truly believe God brought us here, and so He blesses what He ordains. Is that the right word? He blesses where He calls you.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, because faith, we spoke a little bit before. We filmed some other content. We've got a larger format video coming out soon. I don't know if it'll be released before or after this. We'll see. So we don't always have an exact schedule with our content, but we talked a little bit more about that. And faith, a lot of people, and I don't want to, say anything too controversial, but a lot of people kind of talk casually about faith and kind of sort of is almost an afterthought, I don't want to say, but, it feels extraordinarily important to you. And it seems like that's something that you value and really include it.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, play into your business life, into your personal life? And, how does faith affect you on a daily basis?
That's how I start my day. In the Bible, I truly believe that God has a plan for each of His people, and I think it is that each of our individual responsibilities to really search out, to figure out, to pray about what He's calling you to, where He's directing you. And there's no perfect way to do that. You have to figure out how God leads, because He leads each of us uniquely, I'd say. But I truly believe when you are pursuing what He has for you to do, He will bless what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find that Walterboro is united in that way? Do you find that that's a, more common here? And I know you've been here a long time now. I'm kind of trying to contrast it to maybe some of the other, other towns in the Lowcountry. And do you feel like Walterboro perhaps, has a stronger core community in that regard and being a more faith-centric society?
I think so. And I appreciate that about it. I think God plays an important role in this town.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so wonderful to be sure to give Him the glory.
Absolutely.
And to know we are here by His blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm obviously born and raised here in the South. I was born in a little town called Florence, if you know Florence at all. But most of my life I was raised in Somerville, and then I spent some time living out here in Walterboro. And I say this again with no negativity towards anywhere else. But, Walterboro to me really, truly feels like the South still.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some areas in some of the more developed parts of the Lowcountry where, there's definitely, you can feel the inspiration, you can feel the history. But look, it's just hard to feel like you're in the South in a Target.
So true. Yes, exactly.
Because I'm in a Target, and you can get Target anywhere.
Exactly.
The things that you can only find in the South, and the intimacy, and where you can walk in and look at any room around you and say, I know exactly where I am, and it feels like home. That seems to be so much stronger in Walterboro. And I wanted to talk about that because this is something that we have, it comes up quite a bit, especially in the real estate world, as people talk about development and growth, and it's such a hot topic. And one of the things, Walterboro, that's their slogan, the front porch of the Lowcountry, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone, it seems unanimously, is very intent on preserving that and maintaining, that kind of core identity of the town. In your 20 years here, how have you seen the town, develop and evolve and change, and how have you seen it kind of stay the same?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so like you said, 20 years ago, I came downtown. I used to run errands down here. Funny story, nobody asked for, but I used to sell audio CDs.
Oh, really?
Back when people used to.
Oh, yeah. I remember CDs, yes.
With the radio shows from like the 50s and 60s on them. They're terrific shows. Definitely not something you hear about every day, but I used to sell them to the local shops down here. So every week I'd re-up their inventory, and it was so busy down here. It would be hard to find a parking space. It felt like a movie set because there's always people on the sidewalk, and just like it was, every shop had a business in it. It was busy, it was active. And then fast forward to 2020 and the tornado and all that, and COVID, and we went down to basically 2 stores that stayed open on the street after every store had been full. And then and it was over. I don't know. There's an interesting ebb and flow. And I feel like we're coming back with the businesses. We're getting buildings renovated. We're getting new businesses coming. So, and they're personal businesses. They're not chains or anything. It's really sweet and exciting to see the way that it is growing. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like we have this sweet, small town feel to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like what you said, a lot of those businesses starting are personal businesses, and it feels more intimate. You don't have as much of the big box national corporate yada yada.
Exactly.
It feels a lot more intimate in that regard. One of the things that I've observed, and I've been here before, and every coffee shop, ideally, you have people coming in and spending money buying coffee. That's great. We want that. But what's interesting about your spice? People seem to come in here and hang out and spend their days here. Mm-hmm. And it feels like you have this community atmosphere where it's not just like, hey, they've got good coffee, which you do. It's wonderful. But the point that I'm getting is that it's not just that. This feels like a community hub and a place to hang out. And it seems like that's something that we've almost lost in today's society. Everyone's, they're on this all the time and doing that thing, and their community is really just, sending DMs. And that doesn't feel, there's something lost in that, coffee shop or even, a bar or restaurant, whatever, just that community center where people come to interact and actually spend time with one another and have conversations. Yeah. And Walterboro has just done such a good job of holding on to that. And that's what excites me. And that's why I think people are so afraid of losing, is with the development, it just comes at quicker pace.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Absolutely. And that is definitely a goal we had when bringing Colleton Coffee. We wanted a family-friendly community environment that was welcoming and peaceful and fun and sometimes very lively, just depending on how much the family comes.
Right. Well, all ages welcome. And, some of those younger ones will bounce off the wall.
Exactly. And we love it. We love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you something. When I was in, when I kind of first started off in real estate, this was before I even got my license. I was very young, and it was just on the investment side of things. Mm-hmm. And for me, just starting off, things didn't quite click for me at that point. I think I might have been, 19 years old or something like that, give or take. I didn't know it. You, of course, you think you know everything. But
of course.
But as it turns out, I didn't. Woo! Shocking. The teenager didn't have it figured out. Preposterous.
First, okay. Go ahead.
I had got to be the first one. Yeah, it was something that I always thought of growth as this just objective, in all cases good. Because you just look at the numbers of it, right? You want the number to keep going up. You know what I mean? And I think that. As I've, grown older and seen it, and one of the things about real estate that it sort of forces you into that I didn't quite realize when I started off is that this is, you gain really intimate relationships with people, right. Because this is, sure, sometimes I'll help an investor and he's trying to flip it or do a rental and, he's a numbers guy, and that's great. I love those people too. We're happy to serve them. But the majority of your transactions, it's, families, maybe they're buying their first house, maybe they're starting out a new family. This is a crazy thing to keep track of. I've talked about it before. It's insane, I know. But it is such a rewarding experience to me when I have a young couple recently married or something buy their first house, and then they call me up and they tell me, we're expecting our first child. I'm like, I did it. I've got the right one. I found home. Yeah. But it is so much more than, and obviously they still want their house to go up in value, right? So like, yes, the numbers of course matter.
Absolutely.
But it's so much more than that. And what I've grown to appreciate more is not just growth for the sake of growth, but intentional, controlled growth.
Yes.
And I think we've seen that in certain areas of the Lowcountry, just kind of people get so excited about the like more. And then it's like, well, if you're rushing forward, what are you leaving behind?
Right. Absolutely.
Again, that said, there still has to be some level, and of course, we'd love to keep our identity, but we can only keep our identity if people keep coming in the door and buying coffee, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So how do you think we can, in this town, as somebody who's lived here a very long time and obviously an important member of the community and entrepreneur within Main Street, how do you think Walterboro handles that growth and moves forward in a way that keeps its identity and keeps its core together?
Right. No,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, exactly. No, good question. I think definitely getting ahead of it and planning ahead and having a vision for where we want to head as a community is really important. And I think we have some people that are amazing at forecasting that, or however you would phrase that. And so I would think that would be really important with growing, but it's kind of like growing a business. You don't want the business to stay the same. I mean, like, if you're holding steady, you're kind of deteriorating, right? You want, like, the goal in life, I would think, is growth. So
100%.
It seems like that would follow over to, life, business, and a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that the town has been, it seems like, putting more of an intentional effort. We've got a mutual friend, Miss Patricia, and she's always talking about it. She loves this town and I believe grew up here. And, even little things like, they have these little free concerts at the Wildlife Center. And just something even as small as that, just kind of bringing the community together and having something, exciting like that happen. The first Thursday efforts where you have the community come together and kind of support each other. I think that, to me, feels like a great route forward, because it's not just, for example, you can grow a town by, striking a deal with, well, I'll say something that Somerville did. They brought in Boeing. God bless Boeing. Half town's employed by them. It's wonderful.
Wow.
And it's great. It's been really nice jobs, a lot of high paying jobs. People have done really, really well. But, an alternative way to look at that is, you take maybe 10, 20, 30 small businesses and you help kind of lift them up, and they can maybe have the same impact over time, spread out a little bit more while keeping the communities together.
Right. I got you. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I really love what the town's been doing there. Can you tell me a little bit about what life is like now? I've been living here for a while, or not living in town. I spent a good amount of time in Walterboro. I've been living in the South my whole life, obviously. For people who, maybe are watching our content and thinking about moving to the area, what is life like in Walterboro? What is your day like? What do you do? What's the community involved in, that type of thing?
Yeah, I love Walterboro. I think it's kind of, I know I've said a small town. It's got that charm. It's a bit more simple here, not as fast paced as a big city, and so I think it's ideal for family and such, for just a really wholesome lifestyle. And so, I think it's a really sweet spot.
Yeah, and so it's town you can breathe a little bit more, too.
Yes, exactly. It's not crazy busy. I mean, you get to choose how busy you are. Let me put it that way. Yeah. But you have the opportunity to really stop and smell the roses.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to say their names. Obviously, that'd be improper of me. I've just got a family that actually also from I don't know they're from. They lived in Tennessee for a little while and just moved here. Young family, absolutely love it here. I think it's a great spot for families. I think that one of the things when me and my wife are living out here is and now we had a little bit more land. It's not necessarily in the suburban areas, but we had we kind of grew up with or the kids at the time growing up. We had chickens and we had a pig and all that stuff, and it's just something a little bit more. I don't want to say wholesome, but it is. Just kind of growing up around that land and getting more experiences. And there's things you can learn in an urban environment that you can't learn in a small town. But, that goes both ways.
It does. It does. But that's kind of the beauty of Walterboro, because if you really need something from the big city, like Charleston or something, you can drive there really easy.
No, and it's not far from Savannah either.
No, exactly.
Go down there.
Or Beaufort, like you got a lot of opportunities.
You're kind of an hour from everything, really.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, which is very helpful.
Is, you'll put a little bit more miles on the car going to Charleston.
Yes.
But from a, chronologically speaking, it's going to take you about the same amount of time to get to Charleston, Walterboro than it will Somerville.
Yeah.
It's just, how many miles you're driving. You're sitting a lot more traffic in Somerville.
Oh, yeah.
Traffic here is like, it's almost like this legend that people have heard of, but they've never really seen it.
Yes, exactly.
Leave it in. We only give you the real deal. We don't edit anything here at Lowcountry Lowdown. There you go. Yeah. Did it make it even better? God's plan. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah, that's something that, in real estate, you have all types of people, and a lot of folks are moving to the Southeast right now from out of the state. We have plenty of local folks that we help out too, but, a good chunk of our business is key people that are moving in from New York. I've had like a surge of Pennsylvanians recently for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on in Pennsylvania, but apparently they are coming down here. But, we had that, California. And one of the things that, and people, they're not complaining about it, but they're just kind of like surprised to see it, is something that I've never thought about. But, when you're in traffic and you just kind of like make eye contact with someone and you do the little, you just, do the little way. It's never intentional. It's never like you just kind of do it.
Right.
And they're like, they're telling me that, the strangest thing happened to me the other day. This guy, we made eye contact and he just waved at me. And I'm like, who's this guy doing? And I'm like, that's just a thing we do.
Right. It's just like, hey, neighbor.
Yeah. It's just that thing. And I think, there's so many things in the South we don't realize that is kind of alien to other people, or just like, stopping in and talking to people, or even, what we've got here. I mean, like I said, I've been to your shop before, but we've never really formally met before now. Sent you an email like 24 hours ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, hey, come on down. It's
sure.
Just, it feels like, and I don't want to put anybody into a box here. It feels like, I don't know, maybe I do that in New York shop. It's like, hey, who the hell are you?
Right,
I don't know, maybe. But people are just so open around here. And that's what I think is, people miss is, I've even had people from up north, and they talk to me about, like, well, I feel like maybe some of the people down south, they don't want to see all us, people up north moving out. And I'm like, you're gonna have to really work hard to find someone in a bad mood here.
Right. And that is a blessing. So
it is.
Yeah, I mean, like Southern charm, the nice attitude. I mean, it might be our weather. We get a lot more sunshine.
We do get a lot more sunshine.
Get up there. I feel for them.
It's almost fall, and I've talked about it every week on this show. I'm so excited. There's nothing better than a South Carolina fall. I
agree.
Truly, it's the best weather on the planet. You got football's back. The weather's beautiful. The kids are back in school and they're having a fun time. I mean, it just does not get better. What would you say your message might be to people if, they're wondering about taking that leap into entrepreneurship? Because it's something that a lot of people really want to do, but they're scared. They lack the confidence. Maybe they're worried about, paying the bills. What's your message to folks who are kind of thinking about taking that leap and want to make that plunge, particularly in maybe a smaller market where they feel like maybe it might be tougher, there's less people to go around, less money to go around. What would be, kind of your advice, or just something, whatever recommendation you give them?
Yeah, I guess I'd say pray about it.
That's right.
Because God is amazing at directing you if you really surrender it. Like, truly put it in his hands and then pursue it. And he'll either close doors or he'll open doors. And that's a lot of how I got to where I am. And also, like, do your research, figure out, like, you really, like, you'll never understand it. Something, you get it when you're in it, and there's only one way to get it, by getting into it. So, like, really do your research, see what you're getting into, because I didn't know what I was getting into at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I definitely did my research, but once I was in it, I was like, oh my word, I didn't know what I was getting into. But, I truly believe God brought us here. So he's blessed it, and that is how we've been here 3.5 years. But no, just like have some faith in yourself. I would say grab some courage, say your prayers, and pursue it and see what happens.
Yeah. I love what you said there about pray about it, but, also put in a little bit of work.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of the times I think, all things possible through God, obviously.
Absolutely.
However, let's not be entitled now.
No,
let's put a little bit of legwork in too.
He helps those who help themselves.
Right. There's a funny story I heard, just a little joke. There's a fella and he's down on his luck. He ain't got no money and he wants to win the lottery. So he prays to God to win the lottery. Wakes up in the morning, no lottery. Prays again, wakes up, no lottery. And this goes on for weeks and weeks. and he's praying. And one day he gets angry at God because he keeps on praying and he never gets it. And so God gets fed up with this fella. He appears before him and, you know, he curses God's name right to his face. He said, my God, I pray to you every night and I never win the lottery. And God says, could you do me a favor and buy a ticket? Right. So you got to at least buy a ticket, right?
Yeah,
you know, prayer alone is not going to do it. So, so I like what you said there because it's, you know, you do have to put that work in, and you know, betting on yourself is tough. You know,
it is.
It's tough, and there's a lot of work.
Who created you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, and he's a pretty perfect creator.
Yeah. He's nailed it.
And the first one to tell you that I am highly flawed, but my creator is perfect. So, you know, just grab some faith.
Well, and we can all learn through our flaws too, right?
Indeed, absolutely, yeah.
If you learn, you never lose.
Exactly. And it's part of your character too. So
yeah. Every time I've been smacked in the face, I've learned how to dodge a little quicker.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and that's what you should do is learn from it.
Well, you got to learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be as stubborn as I have been, you know, you got to at least learn from it. You know,
and keep a good sense of humor.
You got to enjoy the ride.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing that's important, right? I think is, and I tell people this is, whatever business you want to do it, you got to love it. Yeah. You got to love what you're going to do because, you know, if I'm working a 9 to 5 and, man, I don't feel like doing it today and I just stay home, I'm going to go ahead and get fired, you know, but if I'm working my own business and I don't go into work, well, no one's going to fire me. It's my business. I'm the boss. And so you've got to motivate yourself because no one's going to crack the whip behind you, right?
No. Yeah. A lot of self-discipline.
Yeah. And also, you know, when your employees, you know, get sick or call out or whatnot, guess who's going in? Just going to open up the shop.
Exactly.
And it's just so much easier when you love it, ain't it?
It is. Yeah. Absolutely is. Yeah.
Do you still manage the boutique with your sister as well, or are you full-time coffee gal now?
Actually, my sister got married earlier this year.
Oh,
and so she is a housewife. She's doing her thing.
Okay.
And so my new adventure this year is learning how to juggle both shops.
Wow. So you're going to be doing both by yourself now?
Yes, sir. I've been for a couple months now. So
wow.
Lots of prayers.
How's that been? Yeah, lots of I bet.
Yeah, but a lot of fun too.
But you don't get bored though.
I do not. But I got a terrific team. I have the best team, and they are so supportive, and I could not do it without. And my sweet sister is on standby if I ever get in a pinch. I can call her.
God bless. God bless. Well, that's good. I think that's just about every question I had for you. Is there anything you would like to leave us with? Anything you want to say that you know, just message you want to spread or anything like that? You know, to my vast billions of people that I'm sure are going to watch this.
Yes. Well, to each and every one of you. No, just thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm so glad you emailed, and it's great to actually meet you.
Yeah.
I believe I've seen you. I just don't think we've really
I've been around the block. You know, I'm normally, you know, I'm my brain's in a million places. So.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, Jesse. I know you're busy, even more busy than I thought. You know, you're running 2 businesses. So truly thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And thank you so much, folks. We will see you next week. And listen, if you're in the area and you need to get it going, you need some caffeine, you need to fuel your day, stop into Colleton, or if you just want to hang out and play some mahjong.
Exactly.
If you just want to spend some time, if you want to buy a book, you want to read a book, if you don't like coffee, they got cookies, all right? There's no reason not to come to Colleton Coffee, folks, all right? So come on down. What's your address? I don't know it off the top of my head.
252 East Washington Street.
252 East Washington Street, Walterboro, South Carolina, 29488. Come on down, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you.
All right.